and I forget to hit unmute my thing. Uh, um, okay, let's redo that. Okay, because you have a minute of staring at my lovely face. Red faction. Here you go. Mid-season update. Fixed issue in the consecrated essence could be duplicated. New connection-based matchmaking weekly rotator of Clash, Zone Control, and Rift. See, that was a test. We were just testing everything out. The existing party rotator is now Mayhem, Momentum Control, and Scorched. Updated the tutorial quest for Crucible, which a lot of you should do, because some of you really need that new tutorial. Added metrics showing off your competitive division rank so you can actually see how many points you're at. Ascended competitive division players can now purchase an emblem from Shaxx. Yay for you. Fixed an inherent glorious and dredgen awarding slash gilding. All players must reclaim slash regild their titles if they have completed the prerequisite triumphs. So basically, I have to go back into my dredgen and just boop, 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 because I have them all done. Even if I didn't have them all done yesterday on Twitch, aka Purple Faction, we got to play with Silver Sphere, the Gambit Queen. So that was a lot of fun. I learned a couple things, so that should be interesting. Increase the strength of the respawn overshield in Crucible. Yeah, great. You gave it more health, but in Rift, activating grapple will no longer drops the spark. Players can no longer dunk it while moving faster than 15 meters per second, or while using the grapple ability. Because as you know, you get that burst of speed after you grapple, so they're probably looking at people trying that would be doing that. But Rift, yo. Um, Vanguard Ops. Legend difficulty. Oh yeah, with this thing, I just have to redo it. Like re-grab them. Because they're already done. But I swear, if I have to redo them all, I'm going to ask for my number 9 to show up. Vanguard Ops. Legend difficulty defiant battlegrounds now rotate their weapon overcharge weekly. Defeating Tormentors now provides revive tokens like Champions and Hive Guardians in some activities. So that means if you do like higher tier like story missions or not I guess not story missions. I guess more like Shadows. Hopefully you increase how much points you get from doing them too. Fix the Hive door locks in Battlegrounds to behave in the same way as all versions of the activity. Tune difficulty in Heist Battlegrounds present in the Vanguard and Nightfall playlists. Fix an issue where a crash could rarely occur shortly after picking up the first solar cell in the arms dealer. Didn't know that happened. Fix an issue where the arms dealer enemies would continually respawn to drop required could be farmed them and see for points. I didn't even know that. Huh. Interesting. The more you know. Raids and dungeons. Fix an issue where in the Duality dungeon, the Nightmare of Galaron could not teleport back to the encounter space after falling off the environment. Why? That wasn't a problem. It made it easier. It made it so if you wanted to farm it, you could farm it without having to do it over and over and over and over and over again. Especially when since Duality is now this week's rotating dungeon. But okay, I guess you're just gonna have to do freaking Keitel. Fix an issue where checkpoints were shared between Legend and Master modes for raids and dungeons. Fix an issue where checkpoints were shared between. So does that mean like you could do, you know, get to the Legend and then go to the Master and do the same? Because that's really weird. Fixed an issue in Reno Nightmares where the Succession encounter would sometimes soft lock preventing progress. Fixed an issue where sometimes the attended screen effect did not play when players failed the encounter. Fixed an issue in Reno Nightmares where an exorcist will sometimes not cast a wipe when intended. Exotic mission. Fixed an issue where players could sometimes get pushed through walls by Vex traps and get and then get stuck there. Huh. Armor. Fiction issue where Peacekeeper's reload perk won't activate after you stored an energy slot SMG. Fiction issue where Phoenix Cradle was not consistently extending the duration of Soul and Invictus buff while Burning Maul was equipped. Fiction issue where certain Gambit weapons were not contributing to the Dark Age Arsenal triumph. I remember when that had to be literally you had to use like Bygones and was it Python, and then there's a heavy we had too. Was it 21 Delirium? No, that was a Vanguard one. What was the heavy for that? I forget. Because Bygones was always there. That was Bygones, Trust, and then you had to use like a heavy that he had offered. Which, if they bring Bygones back, I'm happy. I love that pulse rifle. PvE weapon primary balance. Increase the following damage types for red and orange bar enemies in PvE. All rifles got a 25% buff. Pulses, hand cannons, and sidearms got a 20% buff. Scout rifles got a 10. Buzzard Goldberg. Weapon archetypes. Submachine guns. Aikilos. Remove some tuning in the custom scope that caused this weapon to have significantly less recoil than intended. The recoil is now in line with other aggressive SMGs. Okay, cool. Don't care. Oh, this is what everyone's talking about with the what's it called? The rapid fire rapid fire frame fusion rifles. Per burst, they now do 15% more damage, and per bolt has an increased fire rate. Damage in PvE is unchanged, so this is mostly like a PvP kind of a thing. Trace rifles increase the base damage by 4%. Reduce the precision hit multiplier, and reduce the flinch at 100% stability stat. Scales at lower values. Okay. Snipers. Recoil on rapid fire snipers is now by 50%, and they have more ammo. Magazine plus reserves plus 30%. Heavy. Fiction issue that caused Amalon grenade launchers to miss their effect. Fiction issue where the dimensional hypercord could be obtained with a range masterwork. This fix prevents the weapon from dropping with range and changes any existing copies with range to the equivalent handling tier. Exotic weapons. Final warning can no longer mark targets through Titan barricades. Teraba, reduce the Ravenous Beast energy granted to 1%, and reduce the zoom by 1, so it's at 15. Revision 0, 4 times the charm will now reset when entering Hunter's Gaze. This will prevent the issue of firing a single shot while in Hunter's Trance, and being forcibly returned to the pulse mode when 4 times the charm activates. Increase its PvE, and increase the PvE of Hunter's Trace, and increase the PvE of Hake-based bursts. Perks. Fiction issue in which enhanced version of Wellspring generated too little energy when players had any number of charged. Other changes. Add the capability to upgrade Rooted Nightmares Adept weapons with enhanced traits. If you have unlocked the Deep Side of weapons, an enhancement socket will be available to perform this upgrade. Fixed tooltips in Master Dungeons to properly list Artifice armor as rewards. Abilities. Rally Barricade. The area effect now extends slightly further behind and above the Rally Barricade, making staying in the buff area more achievable, especially on uneven terrain. Fix an issue where stasis shards granted by the Glacial Harvest aspect would not grant melee energy to Penumbral Bust if the player had a sword or a glaive readied. Fix an issue where Jolt Chain Lightning is unable to target some PvE combatants. Fix an issue when trying to rapidly throw while carrying could result in an uncharged melee attack. Balancing Pursuit. Fiction issue where players couldn't interact with the evidence board after the Exotic Glade Pursuit is completed. Added the Best Dressed Commendation. Fiction issue where the objective to complete a dungeon solo Spelunker does not count completions before the player is rank 10. Fiction issue where the objective to complete a raid on Master does not count if the current is rank 10. Players who have crafted the first Exotic Glade from the Witch Queen can now claim the patents for the other characters. Veteran players will now save the correct number of lore books when they reach Garden Rank 7 for the first time. Fix an issue where players are blocked from progressing past rank 3 if they previously bought all subclass aspects. Huh, that's interesting. Well, that's the change. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you on Thursday. We'll be doing something. Peace. Have a good one.